Real estate collapse. You saw the title.
Yes, even Kevin O'Leary thinks the crash is coming.
With existing inventory still low and home prices remaining stubbornly high, you're probably asking yourself, what collapse? Well, I'm going to pull back the curtain on the bigger real estate picture, which could be the straw that actually breaks the camel's back. Many financial experts and economists are raising concern over the commercial real estate sector, and they believe it's on the brink of collapse.
We're already starting to see that play out.
New York Community Bank Corp stock down 41%.
In early 2024, it started with New York Community Bank, which increased the amount of money it had to put aside to cover potential losses tied to the commercial real estate sector. And shortly after, Aozora Bank in Japan also saw the same thing with its shares plunging because it was putting more money aside to cover losses tied to U.S. commercial real estate, especially offices.
The commercial real estate sector has been getting destroyed for several reasons. One, online shopping. Yes, these commercial buildings really don't have people walking through them anymore. So it's very hard for a retailer to justify paying for a space in a mall. And then there was COVID. Yes, businesses changed the way they were operating and more people were working at home than ever.
The World Health Organization has declared the coronavirus a global pandemic.
Offices just went completely dead and empty across major cities, New York, London, San Francisco, Toronto. Nobody knew how it would unfold or whether people would come back to the office, so landlords would work out agreements with their lenders called extend and pretend.
The hope was that offices would be buzzing with employees again before the deals had to be renewed, but that hasn't happened.
Although many large-scale companies are returning back to the office, many smaller businesses are not. And this means there's a lot of office space remaining vacant. And most of these small businesses are questioning whether or not they actually need that space. And it's not just small businesses.
Now Amazon is starting to break office leases.
That's right. Amazon is reportedly looking to reduce its office vacancies and save $1.3 billion in the process by, of course, letting the leases expire or negotiating early termination. And in some cases, they're just consolidating. Instead of having 3 floors of a building, they're squishing everybody who's going to work in the office into 1 floor. Now imagine that you're an owner of one of these buildings and all of a sudden your tenants are not renewing. Your cash flow dramatically drops. Most of these commercial business owners that own these office spaces, they're leveraged. They have a loan on the building. Without that cash, very difficult to make the loan payment. And even if they continue to make the payment, commercial loans are very unforgiving. Most of them are on an adjustable rate, and we know rates are rising, so are these commercial loan payments. And many of them will have balloons where the note becomes due and it requires you to refinance the loan, and that can be very difficult when your commercial property is no longer worth what it was once before.
And while nearly $1.5 trillion in debt is due for repayment by the end of 2025.
Yes, many of these commercial office spaces have lost value, between 40 and 50% of their value. Not only does it affect the ability to refinance, it also affects rents. And even if the owner puts the building up for sale and finds a buyer, that buyer better have cash, because it's very difficult to get a commercial loan right now, particularly with these commercial buildings losing value daily. You know, one of the reasons these commercial loans are so scarce is they're mostly made through regional banks. Regional banks depend on depositors, I mean, you and me, putting money into those banks in order to make loans. And that's just not happening. Many depositors are flocking for greener pastures. They're putting their money in treasuries or other banks that are offering higher interest rates.
Now, you know what the dollar amount is? A record $104.7 billion in the last 2 weeks of March is how much bank lending dropped. Banks are not lending because the money market is getting all the money today, and banks don't have the money enough to be able to lend the way they were doing pre. They need money, and people are taking the money out of these banks, especially with what happened with Silicon Valley Bank and First Republic and all these other places. It's even getting worse.
So these regional banks can't make the loan even if they wanted to. With so many businesses pulling back, reducing staff, or letting people work from home, the commercial space is getting crushed. And it's only a matter of time before that cookie crumbles. A lot of businesses are going to have to make some very tough choices. Does it make sense to continue to pay for unused space? Probably not. Many of these businesses, especially if they have a loan on it, will probably elect to just give it back to the bank. It's coming.
And when it does, it'll bring a ripple effect that will be detrimental to investors, business owners, and of course, all of those regional banks that are holding those commercial notes.
You know, these small regional banks are the lifeline for the small businesses in its area. And it is estimated that most of these regional banks have at least 40% of their portfolio tied up in some type of commercial loan. And if these loans default, there are going to be bank failures.
It's going to put a lot of stress on the owners of these properties. The banking agencies are very focused in helping the banks.
What will really allow more owners and lenders to skate through this crisis is if interest rates start to come down more to a level that is more manageable.
And these smaller banks that have these commercial loans that are non-performing or defaulting will put the office buildings up for sale. But then again, office buildings are losing value, a lot of value, sometimes well over 50%.
How much do you think you can buy this for? 13 cents. The snag is, it comes with at least $800 million of debt. It's the sort of thing that's happening a lot right now.
Hey, can you please buy this building from us on 20 cents on a dollar, 30 cents on a dollar, 40 cents on a dollar? And even Charlie Munger believes commercial real estate market is in trouble today.
And there are many that think that the buildings should be repurposed. A lot of discussion about repurposing these buildings into very small micro apartments, which takes zoning changes and a lot of cash. This is something that our government is pushing. I, for one, am not a fan of that, because with bringing in micro apartments, which means you're cramming a lot of people into very small spaces, there's a lot of other things that are going to come along with that. Overcrowding, traffic, stress on the municipalities.
How many of these office buildings can realistically be converted to housing? So we've looked into this in our research, and we end up at a number around 10 to 15% of office buildings.
It sounds distressingly low.
It's a low number because there's a lot of obstacles, right? A lot of these modern office buildings from the 70s and 80s have an enormous footprint, and it's really hard to convert these office buildings.
You know, having a YouTube channel gives me a platform to hear your thoughts. I'd love to know what you think. I do read your comments, and I try to answer as many as possible. It gets a little tough when you get over 500 comments, but either way, keep them coming. You know, we have so much going on in the world today. Commercial real estate failures.
Open borders bringing illegal migrants, overcrowding our cities, problems with squatters, just to name a few things.
You know, I try not to stress myself out about it. It's hard. You know, I keep telling myself I can only control me, you know. Even sometimes that's hard. You know, I do plan on making a video on how to stay sane in an unsane world. You'll have to watch out for that one. I'll post it on the community page when I get it ready and uploaded. So there will be a real estate crash, apparently, but it may not be a residential real estate crash. as most of you are probably hoping for. But I will keep my fingers crossed for you and hope that prices on residential real estate eventually goes down. It could happen. But circling back to the commercial real estate thing, we should all be concerned about the commercial real estate sector crumbling, because if it does, it will affect the rest of the economy.
One investor has warned that the industry could face $1 trillion in losses.
This is the biggest real estate crisis since 2008. A lot of office space around the world is now redundant. There's too much of it. And that's why we're seeing such massive value decline.
If you got some value out of this video, please give it a thumbs up. It tells me that you enjoyed it. I do my best to try to make content on things that are happening in the world. I think it's important to stay informed. And if you've made it this far through the video, I want to send you a big internet hug, because I appreciate you. Did you feel it? Now make sure to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and I hope I see you here again. Take care. And YouTube thinks that you will really enjoy this video right here. I'll see you over there.